परमादर आयुक्तामयमानेन धर्मार्थसुखसाधनम् आयुर्वेदोपदेशेषु विधेः परमादर आयुक्तामयमानेन धर्मार्थसुखसाधनम् आयुर्वेदोपदेशेषु विधेः परमादर आयुक्तामयमानेन धर्मार्थसुखसाधनम् आयुर्वेदोपदेशेषु विधेः परमादर
Ayurveda is a part of our great Vedic heritage, and it's one of the most ancient sciences of health and healing. Through this serial, it's our humble effort to carry the message of Ayurveda to your homes and hearts. I hope and pray that we will have your blessings for this great venture.
वैद्यभाण्डौषधै पुस्तै पल्लवैरवलोकनैः लभन्ते विषशब्दमज्ञास्ते प्रतिरूपका वैद्यभाण्डौषधै पुस्तै पल्लवैरवलोकनैः लभन्ते विषशब्दमज्ञास्ते प्रतिरूपका.
The erstwhile Paramacharya of the Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham says that if you believe in the Shastras, you must believe in them fully. And if you choose not to believe them and to reject them, you must reject them fully. But trying to make a show of being very clever and using the Shastras to your convenience, accepting some, rejecting some, and changing the others, is an offense greater than being an atheist itself. This attitude shown towards the Vedas is tantamount to ridiculing them, and the same applies to Ayurveda also.
Bhishachatmacharaha sandhi sandheke siddha sadhita sandhi vaidya gunair yukta trividha bhishajo bhuvi.
Ayurveda cannot be studied independently or in isolation as it is being done today. It has to be studied with the background of the Vedas and the Shastras, linking the cosmos with the mundane at every stage. The Vedas are true and eternal. They are not man-made. So we cannot impose realistic views on the Vedas. Today there's a thinking in several circles that the spiritual and philosophical areas of the Ayurveda have to be deleted from the original texts. Now this atheistic approach to the Ayurveda is going to be very devaluing, because Ayurveda itself means the knowledge of the spirit, which is the very essence of life. And if there is no spirit, there is going to be no life. And if there is no life, why do we need Ayurveda?
Shraddhamayo ayam purusha यो यत् श्रद्धा सैव सह, ऐसे एक सूत्र आया है कि ये पुरुष जो है, पूर्ण व्यक्ति जो है, वो श्रद्धा से भरी हुई है, श्रद्धामय है, और जिसकी जैसी श्रद्धा होगी वो वैसे ही बनेगा। अब इस श्रद्धा इस शब्द को आप अंग्रेजी में यदि शब्द देंगी तो मुझ पर बड़ा उपकार होगा।
To understand Ayurveda, actually there is a need for a paradigm shift which is required, which is not even developed in the modern science. The problem is that modern science has been dominating all the other knowledge system, that it is not prepared to make an openness. It is not even ready to believe that there can be a paradigm shift in terms of knowledge system. So unless otherwise that is done, there cannot be a meeting point.
Compassion to patients, that is a meeting ground. So the methodology about making a diagnosis, prescribing a treatment, that's where the difference comes. The objective is the same. Because sick people, you must be compassionate to them, you must get them well. They are both the system, all systems agree.
There is nothing wrong with the Ayurvedic science. The tragedy or the problem remains that our Ayurvedic education, our approach to Ayurvedic development is in a wrong track. You see, if you want to understand modern medicine, you should know very well the tripods of modern medicine, physics, chemistry, biology. Unless you grind very well in that, you can't understand the modern medicine. Likewise, if you want to understand Ayurveda, you should know the fundamentals of Ayurveda, which is basically Tridosha theory, which is come from the Panchamahabhuta theory, which is the distilled information drawn from the Indian concept of Sankhya and Vaishesha philosophy, whole of Sardarsana, which the modern physics and mathematicians say it's the fountainhead of knowledge.
There has to be a meeting point because all science is an exploration towards truth. So any truth, even though it can go in start from different paths, the end point should be one if truth is one.
It requires a major effort. There are no quick solutions to that. I know there are lots of books and publications coming nowadays trying to find a common ground. But I get the feeling many of them, they don't go deep enough.
First of all, you should make a fundamental research regarding Tridosha, Panchabhutas, Shadrasa. That can, it is not it is a bit difficult, that's all. Nobody is coming for that. For that you may require the help of Tarka Shastra specialist, Vedanta specialist, all these things put together. Especially some Sanskrit universities will be useful for that.
I am studying the Charaka Samhita really. Charaka Samhita is not the whole of Ayurveda. It is the foundational text of Ayurveda. Some 10 years ago, I happened to give a lecture on Charaka in the Raman Institute, Bangalore. That's the first time I had a chance to read, not to study Charaka Samhita. At that time I thought when I would have a little time, I would like to study it.
We are still stuck with this modern concept of life and nature. So, I mean, I remember just strikes my mind now. There was a scientist who said there's so many problems human society is facing today. And when we try to solve each problem, another new problem arises. And so, what he came to the conclusion is that all these problems are based on a very fundamental problem. He calls it as crisis in perception. None of these problems are going to get solved independently. There's something wrong basically at a very fundamental level which we will have to change. So there is no way, I mean, these are all, we are all heading for disaster, the way modern society is evolving.
Swanyatandra virodhanam bhuishtam vinivartaka yuganurupa sandarbho vibhagena karishyate Swanyatandra virodhana bhuishtam vinivartaka yuganurupa sandarbho vibhagena karishyate.
Ayurvedic drugs these days have begun looking like these allopathic tablets. Gone are the days of homemade kashayams and hand-ground guligas. In these fast-changing times, When user-friendliness and innovation are the most oftenly used buzzwords, isn't it high time that Ayurveda also rose up to meet the need of this hour?
As a scientist, we understand that now Ayurveda is going to be a commercial level. It becomes, then you have to, raw material supply going to be there. See, nobody is controlling in this country the quality of the herbal drugs. The quality starts from the right herbal raw drug. Who is going to control? It's a, if you don't find a particular one, they will take another plant. That's the greatest tragedy of Indian Ayurvedic system.
बड़ी कंपनियां आज जो है उनके ही ऊपर पूर्ण उत्तरदायित्व डालना ये भी गलत बात होगी, क्योंकि उनका उद्देश्य क्या था, जो चीज है वो वैद्यों को व्यवहार सुलभ बना करके उनके सामने रखें.
Industry needs to come to the help of the Vaidyas in mutual interest by giving him most authentically manufactured Ayurvedic product in a most convenient dosage form.
वैद्य अपना काम करेगा, दवाइयाँ बना करके घोटते रहेगा कि बनाई, और वो वनौषधि के कृषि की के बारे में पढ़ेगा और उसमें लगा रहेगा.
The government should encourage cultivation of medicinal plants and make the land available. Because as I said here, a person who has a stake in the industry will take care of cultivation with a deeper interest than a person who has a passing interest in it.
The problem that is arising today is that much of the Ayurvedic industry today, which is using biodiversity, primarily from the forest, is not considering itself responsible for rehabilitation of those forests.
We need a biodiversity law. We have to regulate the plundering on the forest. That is our capital. But you cannot take that much, which will destroy the base.
And I have no hesitation in taking names of these companies because they are not contributing at all anything to the regeneration of those species in the wild which they are using in their products.
People who have conserved a lot of material, they are very poor. The prosperity of those who utilize their knowledge and material in relation to the poverty of the primary conservers, this is what we must attack.
For the nature or for the tribal people who conserve this biodiversity, it gives no satisfaction whether the exploiter is an international company or a national company.
My own feeling is ultimately any act will have to be done both legally and by voluntary ethics, ethics of companies, ethics of individual wives and so on, or those who practice Ayurveda. The present act, in my personal view, is not satisfactory from several angles. It is very much biased towards preventing people from using the material rather than promotion of efficient and sustainable use.
In India, there is an industry of frightening us about the future. Anything that happens, a new change, new law comes into being, new treaty comes into being, if this will happen, that will happen. Green Revolution, when it came, everybody said, land will become so valuable, the rich will buy up all the land, the poor farmer will be immiserized, and a great revolution will start. But actually the land became so valuable that nobody would sell land in Punjab. Small farmers became much more prosperous and possessive about their land. Intellectual property rights, you just have to learn to end an argument at some time and get down to work.
Intellectual property rights, or IPR, is a big issue today. In India and other third world countries, there is this nagging doubt and constant fear whether IPR is an effort of capitalists to establish ownership of the vast knowledge that these countries traditionally possess. But there is another viewpoint that says that IPR can in no way affect the people's knowledge or community knowledge, which rightfully belongs to the people.
Well, the positive side of the bill is that it is for the first time providing a framework for regulating access to the biodiversity found in the country, whether in the wild or in the domesticated areas.
The Biodiversity Act is in consonance with the Global Biodiversity Convention, which was one of those conventions approved at the UN Conference on Environment and Development held at Rio de Janeiro in June 1992. The convention itself became operational in December 1993. India is a signatory to the convention, and in order to give effect to the provisions of the convention, it is important that we have a legal act.
My first commitment and loyalty is to the nature, then to the people who conserve the nature, then to the people who add value to this nature. It's in that order. You cannot expect someone who's exploiting nature in an irresponsible manner to be given a license to continue to exploit this nature indefinitely. They had enough opportunity after the Rio 1992. Today we are talking 2000, 8 years have passed. A single step, show me a single step anywhere.
In the time that we are still debating first principles about the desirability or otherwise of intellectual property rights, do you know that China enacted that very law in 1992, almost 10 years ago? And Dr. Mashelkar has pointed out that between that time and 1998, they had set up 5,000 institutes to train people just in reading and writing patents, because it's a very skilled art.
Our illiteracy in this area, the patent illiteracy, so that when somebody, for example, turmeric was patented in the United States, and CSIR could successfully contest it, because what we have to demonstrate, novelty. So the moment you can produce documents like say Charaka Samhita or ancient texts where turmeric is repeatedly mentioned, being used for anti-inflammatory, this, that. The moment this kind of evidence was produced before the American patent court, they threw out that patent.
We have to stop arguing these things and frightening each other about it and say, yes, this is the new system, I am going to find a way to beat the world at the new system.
Many plants, what I told you, plants, animals, microorganisms, many are endemic to this region. So for that you must know the inventory first, then characterization, then say what are our exclusive. Then they say access to that one, prior approved consent should be there, then equitable sharing of the benefits. These are to meet them. Then within the country, we should not exploit the traditional people, because they are not that knowledgeable. See, the next century is a world of knowledge and science and technology. At the same time, this science and technology world is back to nature.
These arguments on ethics and others have never stopped the advance of technology. And just because I am not going to do something doesn't mean that the world will slow down for me to resolve my problems, or that the world will, or technology will slow down. So, and it is true that every solution that we adopt will lead to new problems.
Acts of God cannot be patented. It is only acts of human beings can be patented. So neem cannot be patented. Turmeric cannot be patented. Basmati rice cannot be patented. But something which you have extracted from neem, azodoractin, or new methods of extraction, it may be a process patenting, it may be a product patenting, or a product by process patenting, and so on. Now these, therefore, there you have to show it is novelty. Something which you have done is new.
If that is the case, there is no cause for alarm. Otherwise, there will come a day when all of India's natural resources are controlled by a few companies, and people may have to pay very high prices for plants that even grow by the wayside.
Modernization is an important issue in every field of activity. The questions whether to modernize, when to modernize, how to modernize, and how much to modernize are all asked very frequently. In a traditional field like Ayurveda, these questions become all the more pertinent, and there are interesting views on the subject from various practitioners across the country. So watch out for modernization of Ayurveda in the next episode.
Please revert to us with your valuable comments about our serial. Write to us at Ayurveda, PB number 7102, Trichy Road, Coimbatore 641045, or email us at ayurveda@bsnl.com.
Brahma Prithvayusho Vedam Prajapatimadikrihat Brahma Prithvayusho Vedam Prajapatimadikrihat O Ashvino तौ सहस्राक्षं सोऽत्रिपुत्रादिकान्मुनीन् ते अग्निवेशादिकां तेदु पृथक् तन्द्राणि ते निरे ते अग्निवेशादिकां तेदु पृथक् तन्द्राणि ते निरे प्रजापतिमजीग्रह ब्रह्मा कृत्वायुषो वेदम् प्रजापतिमजीग्रह